What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are about to restart the IG Live to assist artists with the.
There we go.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened.
Technology is difficult.
Yeah, man. It makes our lives easier, but also makes our lives a hell sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just sent the invite to Kyle. Hopefully, we'll get him in.
There we go.
What up, gentlemen?
Okay.
There we
Hey,
go.
not much. How you doing? How you doing?
Yo, I'm gonna have to hold my phone and bounce around. This was not working on my computer.
It's all good. It's
I
all
guess
good.
we're trying to complicate it with too many IGs in the mix. So
Yeah.
how it is. We're on. We got it.
There we go.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So as Nate was saying, congratulations on your new appointment as the chairperson of the Rap Music Advisory Committee of the JUNO Awards.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
You put in a lot of work and it's appreciated. You know, a lot of volunteer hours. We don't get paid for this. This is just something that we do for the love,
Culture.
for
Yeah.
for the culture, and for the community. You know, so kudos to you on that. And for spearheading this IG and just generally the outreach this year to help make artists aware of the benefits of submitting for the JUNOs. Yeah. You were saying that you had a chance to check out our podcast episodes that we just launched on the benefits of submitting for awards and the JUNOs specifically?
Yes, I have, which I found to be extremely informative and something that I think that every artist who is tuned in right now should actually check out. A lot of times artists do have their concerns in regards to whether they should submit or not. And I think that there was a lot of insightful gems from Imperative talking about his red suit that allowed him to stand out, to him hiring a team to actually come through. And I think that that is something that it's not so much about the win, it's a matter of how you could leverage it. And that's something that you guys speak heavily on. So yeah, hopefully we can discuss some of that tonight in regards to what ways people could actually make the most of the submission in addition to the nomination if they get it and the award.
Definitely. I mean, we saw it today in socials when we were posting about doing this this live. You know, people were commenting, you know, I don't think I'm ready I don't think I stand the chance of winning. And it's like, yo, you're missing the point if you're thinking about winning. There's so many other opportunities. I mean, you know, in communicating with people the last couple of days when we started to push for the JUNO submissions, you know, seeing other people post stories about, you know, how they got management as a result of somebody else on the committee. I'm not going to say whose name it was. I don't want to blow up anybody's spot, but straight up, someone else who's an artist manager started managing an artist that they first heard about as a result of the Rap JUNO committee's screening meeting.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And other stories of, you know, people catching demo deals and whatever. And I personally, you know, can speak firsthand that I'm carefully analyzing like who's submitting and you know, checking for people that I haven't heard of, and I'm looking to see who, you know, like who's putting up numbers and oh, whose music's dope that I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
You know, like that's definitely a thing. You know.
Well, you bring up something very interesting, and both you and I are part of the Rap Advisory Committee. You have been co-chair, you've also been chair, and so there's a unique perspective that we have as it relates to submissions in the sense that we get to hear everything that comes through. So let's kind of give context in regards to what that screening committee looks like when we're actually going through the stuff, and then also go through the submission criteria, so on and so forth. But I think that that's a key piece a lot of people aren't aware of, in the sense that as a committee, we are listening to all the submissions that are coming through. And that's where the discovery process takes place, where, as you mentioned, there was someone who was on the committee who ended up signing someone or becoming a manager for someone just based off of hearing the music. So can you give a little insight in regards to why that part is so like crucial and so important?
No, I'm gonna start by saying, first of all, I've seen some comments in the last couple of days, like, oh, you know, the JUNOs are out of touch, they don't have any clue, blah 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 blah. And straight up, there's a difference between CARIS, the organization that runs the JUNOs, and the Rap Music Advisory Committee, who's made up of a group of volunteers, of which Marlon and I are both a part of, who are all heads, who are all members of the Canadian rap community, who work in different aspects. Some are artists. Arlo is more than just an artist. He's also, a community organizer and connector. And, in the past has sat on multiple boards. He was on the Alberta Music Industry Association board, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's not just a matter of like having like peers on the jury so much as it, or sorry, on the committee so much as it is, having connectors who can help create opportunities for artists, and just having those people listening to your music can really open doors for you. So the music advisory committee kind of is a self directed, I'd say, entity that we decide who should be on it, that kind of thing. We have to communicate with Karis, and like they, the people on the committee have to sign an agreement on like, yo, we commit to doing this in exchange for, well, for being a member of the committee. You don't really get much out of it, we get a free Karis membership, which is not really the biggest thing relative to the hours we put into this, especially the chairs. Every member of the music advisory committee volunteers hours of their time every year, and the chairs volunteer even more time, because behind the scenes, the chair people have a lot of extra work that the regular committee members don't have, to keep things moving, and to just do the necessary advocacy with Karis, and interfacing between Karis and the Rap Music Advisory Committee. So, yeah.
100%. 100%, yeah.
Yeah, so for people saying that the JUNOs are out of touch and that it's kind of an irrelevant question, an irrelevant statement. We saw that post literally today in the Rap Career Growth Facebook group. Someone said, I don't do that. I don't respect it. And I think both Kyle and I responded promptly, like, I think while you are fair in your statement and saying that, it's just a misunderstanding that you don't actually understand how it works. So the fact is, the two of you are on there, and you're an artist, and Kyle's in the business and heads, like overall anything. So that, and that ties into the next question that someone was saying is, well, this isn't my year. And it's like, well, one, how do you know it's not your, like, how can it be your year if you don't submit, right? And then two,
do you think Swollen members thought it was their year when they won?
right?
They were surprised to get nominated. And obviously I'm using a dated example, but that's just a close to home example for me. Baby No Money didn't think he was going to catch a nod, the first time he was nominated, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just using examples of people that I work with, but, I think that every artist, the first time they're nominated, is pleasantly surprised. I could keep going down the list where, it's like, oh, I didn't really think I was going to get nominated, and they do, so there's, as you said, Nate, in one of the podcast episodes, which I encourage everybody watching this to listen to, the Rap Career Growth podcast that we just launched, episodes 3 and 4 are on the benefits of submitting for awards, and the process of submitting for the rap category of the JUNOs. There's lots of details in there, that, some of which we might reiterate this evening, but there's a lot of better, a lot of concise overview of what those processes look like and the benefits of doing so. So yeah, I see questions flying fast and furious too. Do we want to talk a little bit more about like some of the comments we've seen in the last few days, or do we want to get into questions, or what do you think?
I think discussing a little bit
one, let's just start about the process. Let's just give them the information straight up about the process. Then let's open it up into some of the feedback we've seen, and then we can just open the floor for questions. I think if you two are both probably well more versed, and I have the artist perspective, I've already set up. I have 4 submissions on deck. I have some questions to ask, which I know you both probably can help me answer, and it's probably going to help people as well who are trying to submit. So I'd say, why don't we start from the beginning, like how to submit, where to go, and how to kind of a quick overview.
So junosubmissions.ca is the domain name. That still works. It is a new submission system this year, so you guys are actually, the two of you are a little bit more knowledgeable in what the actual submission process is, because I haven't actually started a submission myself. I'm too busy trying to create awareness about this before rushing some stuff this weekend for the early bird deadline that hopefully gets done. The early bird deadline is on Tuesday, so anybody trying to save a little cash on submitting, you have till Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, 6 in Atlantic, Canada, and 6:30 if you're in Newfoundland, I guess.
And so what that means is each submission is $75 right now, which is great.
Unless you're a Charis member, then it's actually cheaper. There's a discount. Yeah, there's a discount for Charis members. And you can obviously sign up to be a Charis member right now too, which not only gives you the discounts on submitting and various other things associated with the JUNOs, but also gives you the ability to vote for certain categories at certain times. For the rap categories, the first round of submissions is adjudicated by genre-specific jurors, which represent 50% of the determination of who gets nominated, and the other 50% is based on Canadian consumption, which means streams for all intents and purposes these days. Sales, maybe, if you have significant sales, not many people do anymore, but largely streams in Canada. So the combination of the two are the weighted measurements to determine the 5 nominees for each rap category. From there, once the nominees are determined, the members of Charis, the delegates of Charis, of which there's roughly 1,500 or so, vote on the winner from the list of nominees, and that's the process of how the nominees are picked and how the winners are picked. So the jurors, the judges are genre specific, that are picked by Charis from a larger pool of suggestions from the Music Advisory Committee. So it's, again, all rap community members, like people active in the Canadian rap community. We don't actually know who the judges specifically are. No one except Charis staff and PricewaterhouseCoopers staff, who are the accounting firm who tabulates all of the judges' votes, as well as the consumption metrics. So only people with full-time jobs that aren't going to risk their full-time jobs to let anybody know about who the judges are know. So the process is bulletproof. You can't bribe anybody. Like, I've had people offer me $5,000. Like, yo, tell me who the judges are. $5,000.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I literally couldn't. There's no way. Like, $5,000 ain't nothing, But and I'm not saying I don't have integrity. I do, but I'm saying, like, it's literally, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So the process is sound. It's not perfect. There is no perfect system for the award, for any awards, like for something that it is subjective. The 10 judges are definitely, they do hold sway, and, sometimes people have strong disagreements. I mean, let's talk about it. Like sometimes the most popular artist does not win, or does not even catch a nod, So that's been an ongoing challenge, and that's part of the reason why consumption is partially a metric as opposed to being entirely a judge vote, because they want there to be some level of accomplishment as well. They don't want something that's just got critical acclaim and no traction to speak of, getting in.
Right. Now, I
Well,
want to go
I'll say
back
in the
to.
last four. Sorry, I gotta just say
Yeah.
one more thing about that. In the last 4 years, the people that have been the least consumed have the least consumed music out of the nominees have been winning. Like there's been a lot of um, the underdogs winning in spite of the consumption metric. So I don't want that to be like an obstacle. Like yeah, if you haven't gotten any streams, like if you are literally starting out, it might not make sense to submit for the JUNOs. You know,
Yeah.
like straight up, it doesn't. Like you need to have outside indications of people feeling your music and supporting your music before you're submitting for the biggest award in the country.
Yeah. Definitely. I just wanted to go back to the price thing because I think I see a lot of people, they're heeing and hawing over the price versus, is it my year, sort of say. So one, it's the early bird rate now, which I said it's $75 for non-Charis members. Charis members get an even additional on there. Now, we are talking rap and hip hop here, and there is a lot of collaborations that happen in this genre. So for example, myself being a producer and a beat maker, I will be submitting for rap single of the year with another artist. So now we're splitting that. So that's 75 split in half. I am submitting for rap album EP of the year with another artist as well. So that's split. So, depending on collaborations in the genre, $37.50 really ain't that much to be submitting. And we're going to get into all the other advantages and benefits of submitting anyways. So, price and, trying to catch a nomination or just trying to just win, is a small factor of it.
If
One
it's
thing
really
to
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Ahead,
one thing
Arlo.
to add is that there was a question in regards to how much the Charis membership costs. It is $85 plus tax annually. So that, in addition to the cost to actually submit, is what you're going to be looking at. But I think the biggest thing that we have to consider for anybody who's on the fence about it is that if you have put in the work and have promoted your album, you've got streams, you've got consumption, it's a body of work or a single that you're proud of, then make that investment in the sense of it being a marketing tool that you could utilize as it relates to the award, right? Because if you end up getting a nomination, then now Charis and JUNOs are basically promoting your name every time the category is mentioned, and now you're being introduced to a whole bunch of people who have never heard of you before.
Yeah.
And again, just going back to the screening committee, we are made up of people who are involved in different parts of the music industry. And whether it's I've been a juror, not for the JUNOs, but for other award associations, and I've been introduced to artists who I've then introduced to other people or have played on my radio show or have began to work with just based off the fact that I heard something that I like. And that's something that artists should be very mindful of, is the fact that there are multiple opportunities that can come about from submitting, but if you're not in the conversation, you can't access these opportunities.
That's
No,
a fact.
no doubt. Look, if the cost is cost prohibitive to the point that it's like a big thing, then it doesn't make sense to submit. Like if $80 is that much of an issue, then hold off.
Yeah.
Or if you really think that you could stand a chance, but talk to somebody else. I personally, I'm not going to say any names, but in the past, I've paid for submissions of people that I work with who I believed in out of my own pocket, because they didn't have the cash flow at the moment. That's how much I believe it. So like, if you have somebody else on your team, the bottom line is it takes money to grow your business, and $80 should not really be. If $80 is that big of a thing to you, don't do it.
And if you wanted it enough, you're going to make it happen. A producer, a beat maker can sell a beat. A rapper can sell a verse. You know what I mean? There's multiple ways. If you really want it that bad, you're going to make it happen. And, yeah.
One
We
thing,
got some questions flying here.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Arlo. So.
Oh no, I was gonna mention, because I know that eligibility is something that we may just touch on briefly, but the time frame, I think it's very important to note that if you are releasing an album between September 1st and November 1st, you are able to apply within both years. So the way that it's set up is that there's an overlap that happens with the JUNOs. So let's say you're releasing something in October of this year, and you're like, you know what, like I just released the album and I'm not really sure, then, or even it might not be the best time financially to do it, then build up the momentum, build up the streams, build up the accolades, so on and so forth. So then that way, when September 2025 comes around, September 2025 comes around, now you can actually say, hey, you know what, like I feel more confident with it. But if you have been gaining the traction, let's say you've been touring, let's say you've been getting onto playlists, let's say you've been able to accumulate some awards or whatever the case may be, like if there's traction behind it, then take that chance and see what takes place, because there's been a lot of people who have gotten nominations or even gotten awards that they would have never guessed that they would have gotten it, but they put the work in. So why not allow yourself to get rewarded for the work that you put in?
No doubt. No doubt.
I got a couple questions about the crossover period, and hopefully you guys can help answer that. So, for example, the early bird deadline is a very short window this year. So let's say the song or album that you would like to submit still falls in the eligibility period, but falls out of the early bird.
That's fine. In fact, so the actual eligibility period for releases is September 1st of 2023 for this year to November 1st of 2024 this year. So if you submitted now for a release that was coming out next week, you're fine.
Okay, cool. So that answers that. The other one around that was, now I forget it, of course, so maybe we'll skip it. I had it, it's gone now.
Okay. While you're thinking of it, I'm going to answer a couple quick questions that I'm seeing, because I'm honestly forgetting questions. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. Trying to fit all this in. So people are asking about how many songs you can submit and so on. You can submit as many as you want. You should only submit one per category. If you're submitting multiple submissions per category, you're effectively negating your chances with the judges by having to potentially split votes. So you can make multiple submissions. I highly discourage that. Like, don't lessen your chances of getting the judges' votes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So while you can, doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Terrell said, can you submit multiple songs off an album for single of the year? It said something about only one. I'm not certain about the rap single category. The full guidelines are on the Keras website. But I don't think you should submit more than one.
Yeah.
I think you really need to decide which one is the one, because for exactly what I was saying, the judges will potentially split votes, and that it hurts you. So go and check if you're really determined to submit more than one. But dude, honestly, pick one.
Yeah.
If I could chime in just in regards to that, I think that if you have a song from your album that is streaming really well, pick that song. Or even you could use this as an opportunity to actually engage your fan base in the sense of reaching out and saying, hey guys, I'm going to be submitting for the JUNOs, would love your support, would love to know what song you guys feel that I should submit for the JUNOs, for the judges to actually take a listen to, right? That way you're actually getting a better barometer of what other people think, because sometimes our favorite songs aren't necessarily the songs that resonate with other people, right?
Very much.
Right. And that's that marketing piece you were talking about. It's a great engagement piece. Get your fans involved. Now, the other thing, Terrell might have been mentioning there is in rap album EP of the year, it does say feature songs. So, and then you could just pick one feature song. That might have been what he's talking about, but I think it is more about submission. But yeah, you can only pick one feature song, and that's just the song that they use if you get nominated, that they play on stage or in commercials and that.
Yeah. To be clear, I think it's actually 3 feature songs, because I think the idea is you give the judges some options to listen to, so they don't have to, because they're not going to listen to your entire project. There's dozens of submissions for each category. So the idea is like, hey, judges, listen to this. And that's the same thing that the music advisory committee looks at to say, okay, we're going to listen to these songs. These are the recommended songs. And straight up, sometimes the music advisory committee goes back to Keras and says, yo, we don't think that these songs are the right songs from this project. We know this project well, and we think that we suggest that Keras suggests to the artists that they switch the songs because another song might resonate with the judges better or something like that. Like that has happened on multiple occasions where we've given feedback like that. Like that's our job as the music advisory committee, is to make recommendations like that to help our submissions stand the best chance possible, to make sure they're in the right category possible. In Rap in 2024, post Drake, there's a lot of rappers that sing and singers that rap, so sometimes, like Chaos has been nominated in the R&B category before, et cetera, et cetera. People that have definitively been like rappers in the past are broadening their horizons, that kind of thing. So, Chaos submitted a song that had singing on it to the rap category, and we're like, nah, this is an R&B song, you know, like, so sometimes stuff like that happens. Sometimes it's a recommendation. Sometimes Harris is like, nah, it needs to move.
Yeah.
You know?
So I do have the submission open and for rap EP, and it is just one feature track title. So you upload all the songs on the album.
Okay.
And it's just one feature track.
I think it used to be 3, and I guess they've changed it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't gone through
the
the submission process myself this year. So
yeah.
So you guys who you and Arlo have more understanding of what it actually looks like this year.
Yeah,
but
sure.
If I could chime in again, and this goes, it's a shameless plug for Rap Career Growth, is that the thing that we have to understand as artists is that what you're doing throughout that and helping make sure that your album is in the minds of possible judges, right? So consider the fact that your nomination campaign starts well before the JUNO submissions open. So what you're doing throughout the year, creating traction, making sure that the key people in the industry are aware of what you're doing, that plays such a big role in helping you get the nomination. It's not just, okay, the nominations are open now and I'm going to submit and hopefully they're aware, because yes, they will listen to the music, but there will be human biases that come into place with stuff that you're more familiar with, the stuff that you think is dope because you've had time to actually sit with it for a longer period of time. So again, there is a great podcast, Rap Career Growth, that is put on by these two gentlemen here that can give you more information and more insights in regards to what you should be doing to navigate your career and build up to these nominations.
Definitely. And there's also an associated Facebook group with 1,100 members in it now. That was the kind of the catalyst to the Rap Career Growth podcast existing. We wanted to catch all the people that aren't using Facebook and just the people that aren't trying to read in general with another means of communication to share this information to help. So there it is.
Arlo, I just wanted to piggyback off what you said about the engagement post, right? And what song, right? And it is a campaign, right? And it's not just a campaign for the jurors; it's a campaign for your audience and your fans. And I talk about this in one of our episodes. Is your fans want to see you doing the things. They want to know that you're handling your business, right? So I mentioned on the I think it was last year when I submitted, I posted on Facebook my submission screen. I took a screenshot of it, said, congratulations, you've submitted for the JUNOs. I said, wish me luck, everyone. And that got a lot of engagement. People were tagging the JUNOs. Imperative should win. I'm not saying that that's going to help the jurors be like, okay, Imperative got like 100 tags. He's the winner by any means. But that's building awareness around your brand. Now, so continuing with this, one thing I've seen people doing for the Grammys, which I thought was interesting, which I'm going to do. And if you're watching this and you're submitting, by all means, steal this idea. But they put, let's say they were putting for they submitted their album or EP for the year. They posted a thing with the picture of the album cover, the song playing in the background, and it says, for your consideration. Right? I saw everyone doing that for the Grammys. I'm like, as soon as I hit submit, I'm doing that for the JUNOs, for your consideration. And I'm going to do that for every submission I do. And then people are going to comment, hey, good luck, best of wishes, all that stuff. It's building engagement for your fans. It's building a bit of awareness. Maybe some jurors happen to see it. Maybe some people from the JUNOs. So it's definitely a good look to build engagement around it. And like we said at the start, leverage. Use it as a marketing tool. Not just go in trying, I'm going to win. It's great. If you do, it's great if you catch the nomination. But use it as a marketing tool, and there's multiple ways you can do that.
I'm actually surprised that that's just being introduced this year, because I saw it roughly about, I want to say 10 years ago with the Oscars, because a friend of mine was actually working within film, and they would receive advanced copies of films and they would say for your consideration for the Grammys or for the Oscars or whatever. And so
I've definitely seen it for years.
Yeah,
I've seen for your consideration ads and
but it's really caught on this year, which is great, because when we see things like that, we should be incorporating it into what we do. So then that way, again, it engages the base and allows people to see like, this person here is actually doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
No, dude, honestly, your suggestion about like asking your fans, like, which song should I submit for? That doesn't mean you need to listen to them, but straight up, it's a great engagement building.
Yeah.
If nothing else. I mean, you can take their suggestions into consideration, but you can still make your own call. But honestly, I never even thought of like posting that early on. Like it's just a process of documenting every thought process,
Yeah.
you know, like and sharing it, and that builds engagement and gets people rooting for you. That helps your cause. You know what I'm saying? I've seen multiple comments, and I want to bring this one up because I keep seeing comments or questions about this. People asking about submitting for multiple categories.
Yeah.
So some of the categories you can submit to multiple categories, and some are strictly you have to pick a genre. And that's basically the genre specific categories. You can't submit for like the same release for like the rap and R&B categories. You have to pick one. Or you can't submit a project for you know, funk. I don't know. Funk isn't even a category. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Metal.
but the point is, you can't submit for like alternative and rock. You have to pick one. You know. So, but
You're talking
there
about the
are
same project, correct?
the same project. Yes, you can submit different projects to some categories. Some
Yes.
categories require albums. Some categories are it varies. You know, like the R&B categories right now are contemporary and traditional R&B release of the year, whereas rap is rap single and rap album/EP. You know, so there's nuances to each of the different 40 some odd categories that you have to kind of look at. But like, for example, you know, there's rappers that have also caught nominations in Breakthrough Artist of the Year category, in Video of the Year category, Artist of the Year category for previous nominees.
I think
What else? Fan choice. But fan choice is a different one. Fan choice is actually the only JUNO Award category that is public voting.
Yeah.
So like straight up, like you have to have numbers in order to stand a chance of that, and you have to be prepared to mobilize those numbers, mobilize those fans, basically. So you know, like if you were an artist with a ton of online engagement via social or short form video platforms or whatever, where you can mobilize hundreds of thousands of people, okay, go ahead and submit to the fan choice category. But other than that, probably something you can skip. You know,
and if you got dope cover art and you're friends with, or like then they're Canadian, submit your cover art.
Yep, that's another one.
There's a cover.
Straight up.
And then beatmaker producer here. So for my producers and beatmakers watching, listening to this, I'm submitting for instrumental album of the year, and I'm also submitting for the Jack Richardson producer of the year. We're not really touching on those categories. We're specifically talking about rap album, EP of the year, and rap single of the year. But there are other categories that you should entertain if it makes sense.
And I think it's important for us not to limit ourselves to just the one category, because that's part of the reason why we're not seeing the growth of hip hop within Canada, because we often we don't have the infrastructure here, but that doesn't mean that we can't create those paths through these wins, you know, so, or even these nominations. And what I mean by wins aren't necessarily getting the award, but in the sense of like getting someone in that category where it's just like, oh shoot, there's a hip hop artist in there, that inspires more people to submit in that category, let's say for single of the year, right?
Yeah.
But it inspires more people, but it also allows for the industry as a whole to start recognizing that there are quality releases coming out that can qualify for these categories, you know?
I know someone in the Rap Career Growth mentioned that they are submitting for Children's Album of the Year. They created a hip hop Children's Album of the Year. I haven't got a chance, but I want to go back and tell them to submit in Rap Album EP of the Year as well, right? Because that's a crossover right there. Both do the Children's Album of the Year and Rap Album of the Year.
So Maestro Fresh West caught a nomination in the children's category last year for his second children's music project. Yeah. So absolutely. I want to jump on a couple quick questions in here, because I've seen them going. I've seen somebody ask, you have a feature artist from the States. So in order to be eligible for the rap categories, it has to be at least 50% Canadian. Like the rap on it needs to be at least 50% Canadian. So you can have like a duo where, you know, like Baby No Money and Young Gravy, for example. That was allowed because it was 50% Canadian. But it cannot be. This is a recent change. It cannot be a Canadian producer with an American artist, with an American rapper only. There has to be at least 50% rap. While yes, producers can produce rap, it needs to support a Canadian rapper as well.
Right.
This is more obviously leaning towards a single, but it could be for an entire project too. In the past, there have been some rap nominations that have not featured Canadian rappers, only Canadian producers. That's no longer a thing. Now, if that was to happen, for that would be moved over to another category, like depending on the sound, probably dance or something to that effect, where it was more to recognize the producer. Obviously that wouldn't be an instrumental release, but again, there's 40 some odd categories. I only know the specifics of the rap categories, so I can't really speak to all those other ones. But I just know that some of the releases in the past that have featured American rappers, it needs to also feature a Canadian rapper to be eligible. Somebody else asked, does an artist like Drake have to submit to be nominated? Everybody has to submit to be nominated. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big you are. You have to submit. So there's no passes or anything like that. Straight up. Some people, for the Grammy specifically, I've seen people like pissed that their teams didn't submit. They thought the management thought that the label was going to do it. The label thought that the management was going to do it. Whatever. And they just were mad that they didn't get nominated, only to find out that nobody on their team submitted. And the same thing applies to the JUNOs as well.
Can we briefly touch on the artist bio section of when people are going to be submitting? In your guys' podcast, you spoke about one of the best ways to lead, and not everyone's going to be able to lead this way, but can we talk about what are some helpful tips that you should include when it comes to your bio, and should it be focused around the entirety of their career, or should it be more honed in on some of the accomplishments of the recent release? Because with the WCMAs, you're able to upload support materials, but for the JUNOs, you're not able to. So what are some key things that people should be including in their bio / noteworthy accomplishments?
Well, you are able to upload a bio and photo, so that those are support materials, but you're not as many as the WCMAs, for example. So from my perspective, and I do copywriting among other things, extensively. Like that's an underrated art form in marketing. I think every single word used is a battle to keep people reading. So like look at it like that and focus entirely on accomplishments to keep people reading and to convince them not only to keep reading, but that they should support. So you really have to fight the battle word for word. So highlight your biggest accomplishments in the first sentence. If you're a previous nominee of another award, mention that. You are not, even if it's a smaller award, whatever, like anything that helps you stand out amidst the sea of competition. There's 100,000 songs released a day right now. How do you stand out? Tell them. Don't focus on your upbringing. Don't focus on things that happened 10 years ago. Focus on the most persuasive and compelling accomplishments that you have in your career. Like, use the elevator pitch strategy. Like, you are in an elevator with somebody for 30 seconds. What are you going to say to them to convince them to give you some more of their time?
Yeah. And if I could just add another note as well, too, in regards to that. So when I'm currently looking at the application, it says biography / noteworthy accomplishments. Now, sometimes when you're dealing with a bio, you're trying to present it in a way that is wordy and flowy and poetic, so on and so forth. If you want to just go and list off bullet points that get straight to the point, that way you're able to utilize all the 200 words that are available to you, then do that.
I'd say be as concise as possible. Don't waste words. People are not likely to read every single word, so have every word that they do read be compelling. Don't fancy it up. You don't need. There's no quota. You don't have to use 200 words. If you can highlight all the key points in 100 words, do it. Just make it a point of making as clear and concise communication as possible of why they should click play. I mean, they're supposed to click play. Of course, they're going to play, and straight up, Karis tracks that. Like as far as the judges are concerned, and and so on. Like, so they know who's doing their job of listening, because they don't want judges that are phoning it in, that aren't doing it, you know. So the judge adjudication system that they use to listen to it, which is the same as the submission system, basically, it's another element to that, you know, has it so that they can track that. Anyway, I digress.
So, go ahead. I was just going to say, so a few things that I would say to consider, and we can maybe list off more and brainstorm here, but any awards that you've previously won, airplay on high level radio stations. For example, if you're getting play on Sirius XM, Shade 4-5, Mixtape North, playlist, Spotify playlist or Apple playlist. If there's major playlists that you're getting on, charting would be another thing to check out. Publicity, press would be another
performances.
One. Live performances,
notable live
festivals,
performances,
touring festivals. So those are definitely some things that you want to, that's what they're looking for. And then I'll say here, as I have 4 different submissions open, my bio is different for each one. So one bio is for me and for the rap album and EP, and I base that bio around the milestones that album hit between the two of us. It talks a little bit about the two of us, but then on a whole, it's the accomplishments that album reached. And then the other one for the single, it's kind of our individual stuff blended in with, as the song's not quite released yet, but that's combining and blending the two of our accomplishments into one. And then another one is just solely based on me. So I think depending on what you're submitting for, craft it accordingly.
Well said. Yeah, you know, to the point, and definitely speaking directly to the opportunity, speaking to the judges, speaking to Keras members, speaking even to the music advisory committee about, you know, trying to maximize your chances in writing, basically, and with the photo too. Like we said in the podcast, like straight up, you can get a photo of you holding an award you won. There you go. There you go. Well said. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, that carries weight. You know, or a photo, if you don't have that, you know, a photo of you performing in front of a large audience, but showing the audience, not just a close up of you performing, but rather the large audience, to convey the support that you're getting, even if it's you opening for someone else's audience. The point is, oh, this person's performing in front of hundreds of people. Clearly, I should give this submission a little bit more of my time and read the bio a little more carefully and listen to all the songs. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, just whatever you can do to buy yourself a few more seconds of their time and consideration in their head. You know, I'm like, okay, when I'm rating, you know, the top choices, you know, how high does this submission get in that? And little things like that do carry weight. I know everybody would like it to be solely based on the music, but it's not.
Yeah.
The presentation absolutely plays a role in the psychology behind the decision-making process. That's just human nature.
Yeah, definitely.
The book is judged by its cover.
I think psychology is the big word, you know, big word there. You're creating a moment, and when someone's reading your application, you want to create a moment for them, immerse them in it, make them, you know, feel that the presence of this project or single or whatever it is that you're including. One other thing I'll say is, you know, you can get creative with your photo as well, in a sense that for the one, it's a collaboration. We don't have a photo side by side that's high res, so we just took 2 photos and photoshopped it together with a black background. It looks like we're in the same room. So you know, do what you got to do, and there you go. Just I got it up here.
Hey,
so
I worked with some groups who have literally never agreed on a group photo, who literally did that with all their photos. Like they had side by side solo photos. So like, do what you need to do. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If there's an obstacle, find a way to overcome it. You know, find a workaround. Somebody asked, and this is an important question because it is a side quest right now that is also a thing. Can you submit to perform? You can submit to perform at JUNO Week, and that is something that is open right now. You cannot submit to perform at the JUNO Awards themselves. The people that perform at the JUNO Awards are nominees.
Right.
That's like they're picked from Paris and picks them from the list of nominees. Basically, you can't just I want to submit to perform at the JUNO Awards, but you can perform at Juno Week, at the events that take place around Juno Week, including this year it's in Vancouver, so like it'll include a bunch of different venues in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver area, that are accessible both to industry people attending as well as the public. The Juno events, the Juno Awards, as well as the gala dinner that happens the night before the Junos, where most of the awards are given out, is also has performance opportunities. But again, those are for nominees.
If I could say something in regards to Juno Week, or Juno Fest, as it's sometimes known as, it's a showcase opportunity. And I think that there's a lot of artists that don't understand what a showcase is. And just to give you guys context, a showcase is essentially a performance that you do, which is different than your typical performances, in the sense that there are people in the industry who are specifically there to see you perform and see how they can play a role in developing your career, right? So if you are selected to play Juno Week and showcase, then put effort into making sure that this is a well-attended show. Put effort into making sure that your performance is like at the top, because it is extremely competitive. Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to leave Juno Fest with people saying, hey, I'd love to work with you. I'd love to be your publicist, or I'd love to be your manager, or we're booking this festival and we think that you'd be great for it. These types of industry events, a lot of times people from the hip hop community aren't aware of what the purpose of these things are. And sometimes they go into them with no plan, no strategy whatsoever, and then they miss out on great opportunities. So definitely something to look into.
It looks like Kyle's freezing a little bit there, but one thing, Arlo, maybe you can talk about this. We talk about it. Oh, we're back. We're back at it. Back like you never left. We talk about it on the podcast, Kyle. One of the advantages of submitting for BIPOC artists, and if they do catch a nomination, I think that would be well worth talking about.
Definitely. The music industry has traditionally been wrought with racism. And that's definitely the case in Canada as well, or whether intentional or just institutional. And the Canadian music industry is no exception. Fortunately, in recent years, there have been efforts to make changes, and one of them that I think is super dope is Star Maker's Orion Grant program, which is specifically for BIPOC artists. And while it has a consumption criteria normally, you can bypass that consumption minimum if you have a JUNO Award nomination. So any artist that gets a JUNO Award nomination is automatically, that is a BIPOC artist, that automatically gets eligibility for Star Maker's Orion Grant, which is a $20,000 grant that can be applied for up to 3 times. So that's $60,000. Like, not a bad look, so that's a nice side door to the Orion Grant program without getting, a million plus streams in order to get eligibility, which is what you need otherwise. 1.125 million streams specifically for rappers, which is their equivalent of 1,500 sales, quote unquote, at 750 streams equaling 1 sale. Anyway.
And as well, too, while we're on the topic of grants as well too, if you are selected to showcase for Juno Fest, you could also apply for Factor Showcase grant. You could also apply for a SOCAN Foundation grant in order to cover some of your costs, whether it be your flight, your hotel, your band, their per diems, whatever the case may be. But there are a lot of resources that are attached to getting a showcase that people should take advantage of, because not every country in the world has these resources available to artists.
Canada, we're very fortunate for some of these things that we have.
100%.
So I'm going to let you guys know. I can't see any comments.
I want to say one thing as far as the showcases are concerned. A lot of the artists that are selected for Juno Fest are typically from the region that that particular year's Juno Fest is taking place in. Like, it's less likely someone from Nova Scotia is going to catch a spot on Juno Fest in Vancouver unless they are popping. Unless they're bubbling and making noise that year, it's more likely going to go to BC or Western Canadian at the very least artists. And I'm going to say probably based on the population of BC, it's probably going to be BC. Like, you know, Arlo, when it was in Edmonton a couple of years ago, there was a lot of Alberta artists in it, correct? Yeah. So I'm not saying Juno Fest makes sense for people across the country to submit for, the way I'm saying the JUNO Awards make sense for people across the country to submit for. Just to be clear, that was kind of like a side quest that I was just answering a question that I was trying to answer. Like, no, you're not going to be able to submit directly to the Junos, but you can submit for the Juno Fest.
Yeah, and if you are someone who's a nominee, because Kirk Diamond, who is from Toronto, showcased in Edmonton for Juno Fest when it was here, and I imagine he would have put in a grant application to help cover some of his costs. So yeah.
And to be clear, though the submission window for this year's is already closed, the Juno Masterclass program is another side door to be aware of. That also allows for opportunities to showcase at Juno Week events. The Juno Masterclass is basically a program specifically for artists who have not yet been nominated for a Juno to get mentorship and a little bit of funding, but mostly mentorship and development to help them get to the point they're ready to submit for the Junos. And if you're selected as part of the Juno Master Class, you also get showcase opportunities, including at the Juno Gala dinner, the main event the night before the Juno Awards, when again most of the awards are given, which is it's normally mostly industry people at. That's where the speeches happen. That kind of thing that don't make sense to be televised, which is why there's so few awards given out on air on the Juno Awards television broadcast, because nobody wants to watch speeches. It's like Karis doesn't have anything against rap for often not televising rap, just like it usually doesn't televise most of the 43 categories. It's that they only televise the presentation of like 7 categories per year.
We just need
nobody wants to watch that.
We just need Kanye West to come snatch mics up, and then we'll get on that.
So much respect to the Rascals for taking the stand that they did. But the fact of the matter is, almost all the categories in any given year are not televised in the presentation, because the actual awards show is mostly about live performances.
Yeah, but one thing that's funny about that is that a former reggae band from Edmonton here called Soldier Fire, one of the members of they were up for an award back in 2009 for their album Truth to Reveal, and he said that he liked being at the gala more than the awards because you got fed at the gala. So yeah.
Yeah, straight up. Like there's definitely a lot of opportunities to build relationships. Nate and I interviewed somebody yesterday for the Rap Career Growth podcast, who is a previous Juno nominee, who was talking about how he built a relationship with somebody that became a sponsor of his tour, like, and picked up the tab for all his travel expenses. Yeah. Somebody that he met at a Juno Fest opening networking event. You know what I'm saying?
This goes back to what we started. Leverage everything. So every moment of this, right? You got to leverage everything. You never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. Kyle, I think you, with the masterclass you mentioned, I think you were telling me too that we were trying to possibly interview this person, but someone took the masterclass and ended up getting nominated.
Yeah, Havaya Mighty. Yeah, Havaya Mighty is like textbook, poster case study of Junos in effect. And she's expressed interest, but I haven't been able to lock her down for an interview yet. As you guys can obviously tell, we're interviewing Juno nominees right now. I don't know if we're going to get any interviews out in time for the Juno submission window. It's been a push for us to even, we soft launched this podcast before it was ready, specifically to get those 2 episodes out, talking about submitting for the benefits of submitting for awards and the Junos, to help artists understand the benefits as part of this 3-week submission window. We weren't really ready. But yeah, we have a couple interviews in the can with Juno nominees, and another 6 have expressed interest, and I'm still waiting to hear on a bunch more that I haven't had time to follow up with, because it's just taking up hours, man. Nate was up till 2:30 in the morning. Nate's not even on the music advisory committee, and he's still doing the work. He's up till 2:30 in the morning editing episode number 4 about the process of submitting for the Rap Junos a couple nights ago, so that we could get it out.
So if I could just mention one thing before we move on, just in regards to maximizing your time at Juno Week. The Rap Advisory Committee a few years ago had launched what is the Black Music Brunch, and it's an opportunity for, it's essentially like the Rock Nation Brunch, but the Canadian version for the Junos, and a great opportunity for people to network with people and meet people from that community, and also meet some of the past nominees, some award winners, so on and so forth, and just build community, because I think that's something that is missing on the national scale. And when Junos come to your town, if you are a part of that town, or even if you're flying in for it, try to attend these events, especially if you're a hip hop artist, and attend the Black Music Brunch, but also attend other ones as well too. Women in Music have a brunch as well, because these are opportunities for people to get to know each other, and you never know what may come about from that,
Yeah,
So,
100%.
Yeah.
Being a beat maker and producer submitting for the Junos, I have one comment that was made in the Rap Career Growth group. It says, I have no idea if any of the songs I rap on have cleared samples. That does not matter. The Junos do not look to see if you have cleared. Now, if you get nominated and win, then whoever you sampled might hear that and be like, hey, I deserve some royalties. Now, there's a whole other case study there that, we don't need to go down the rabbit hole, but it doesn't matter if you have cleared samples. But sure, be prepared that if you got nominated or win, you might be going down a rabbit hole that might, expose some of your business. But it shouldn't, I wouldn't say it shouldn't stop you from submitting to the Junos just because you use samples in your music. Hip hop and rap is based off samples. That's where it comes from. That's the history. That's the origins. So I myself will be submitting music that uses samples, so I wouldn't let it stop anyone else.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the Juno Week stuff for a second. I just want to shout out Mel Boogie and Candace and anybody else involved in that brunch. I have definitely been an idiot and partied at Juno events in the past. Honestly, going at it from a perspective of this is an opportunity to network and do business potentially, as opposed to making this a week of partying, would be a lot more beneficial to business development. So yeah, you could go have a week-long party, or you could create a lot of opportunities for yourself. Those can sometimes be synonymous, but often can't, or often are not. So, going at it from the perspective of I want to attend everything and, be sober AF and have my wits about me, is probably the perspective to maximize benefit of it. That's how you land the sponsor that covers your transportation costs going across the entire country and so on. It's not by being sloppy drunk.
Yeah, I feel like there's a Diddy joke to be made here, but maybe leave that alone.
Straight up, I'm speaking from personal experience. I've been a sloppy drunk in the past. I am. I used to be a functional alcoholic, and that was not good. And that I regret not remembering a lot of the dope things I was involved in. Straight up, but I probably had a bit of a reputation for that too, so anyway, my point is just that there is a lot of opportunity to be gained and business building to be done at not only the Juno Awards themselves, but the whole Juno Week event, and it does make sense to attend if it makes sense for you.
Is there any more questions there that we haven't touched on already? I like I said, I can't see any questions on my screen anymore.
There is the elephant in the room, which is Afrobeats, a category that we're hoping will come to existence. If you are
It's not going to be this year.
Yeah, it definitely won't be this year, but
it is the categories for this year have been announced.
Yeah.
There are new categories. Afrobeats is not one of them. There is a new South Asian music category, which is, you know, a lot of the contemporary South Asian music that's being released right now is melodic rapping. You know, straight up. I work with multiple artists of South Asian descent who rap in Punjabi, and they're not likely to catch a nod in the rap category, and they were submitting in the rap category. Straight up, I found some of them from looking at submissions in the rap category as a music advisory committee member. There's a perfect example. Like, I work with multiple artists of South Asian descent that I saw their numbers. I was like, holy crap, these guys are huge, but I don't understand the musical. I don't speak Punjabi, and neither do the judges of the category. So in spite of having good consumption numbers, like, the judges aren't going to vote for something they don't. And that's an ongoing challenge that we've had also with the Francophone artists submitting. Is there's never been a Francophone nominee in the rap categories. There have been rappers nominated in the Francophone category, but that is a thing. So South Asian artists, South Asian rappers out there, you would now have a category. So basically, whether it's Punjabi or Hindi or one of the other dozen plus languages in the region, there you go.
So, and for the Afrobeat artists out there, Global may or may not accept you. You can send it to rap. We may send it over to Global. We may send it over to R&B. We may send it over to dance.
R&B.
Yeah, contemporary R&B. So, but I think contemporary R&B would probably be the best option for you if it's more if it's Afrobeats but it's more singing. If it's rapping, then send it to the hip hop category.
Straight up, it's not about it's about the vocals. Is what it comes down. It's not about the beats. It's really, you know, like, the rap category specifically says, like, rap cadence.
Right.
You know, and I know that there are songs that are both. And it's literally like, is it at least 50% rap? Or like, and there's a lot of back and forth between the contemporary R&B category and the rap categories for that very struggle. And straight up rappers sing sometimes, you know, and straight up singers rap sometimes. So it's literally sometimes counting bars.
Yeah.
But in just to give some support to everybody in the Afrobeats community, it is a genre that is blowing up. There is now a Grammy category for it. So continue to campaign, do outreach to Karis. And if you're able to show data that shows that there is like artists who are creating this genre within Canada, if you're able to show numbers in regards to streams, so on and so forth, or show that there's a community for it, just do the campaigning that needs to be done, because with most categories you're looking at, is there going to be enough submissions? Can you actually assemble a advisory committee, and can you assemble judges who will be able to adjudicate that genre? So I'm putting that out there to anybody. Tegan, shout out to him. If you are someone out there that Ruki Kamiz out of Saskatoon, artists like that, definitely campaign for your genre, because at some point in time there will be a category for it.
To be clear, it definitely takes a lot of work to get the creation of a JUNO submission, even to get the second rap category. Like, we campaigned for years, and, you know, ultimately I think the submission that we put forth that finally got approved was like 15 pages long, full of like had like 30 letters of support from every area of the industry. You know, like, we went hard to get that. It takes a lot of work. So
and you were quite integral with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Kraft, Kraft Entertainment, Battle Axe, Rap Career Growth, and Imperative, award-winning producer, but also a member of the podcast Rap Career Growth. And I'm Arlo Maverick.
Yes, indeed. Cool. Any other questions that we should address before we leave it, or
one last thing? I think just from the comments here from the Rap Career Growth, and I'll just touch on it lightly. And we're going back to the price of submitting for JUNOs. Someone asked, or they didn't ask. They said it's unfortunate that artists teams have to pay for submissions just to be considered for a nomination after a review process. So the JUNO Awards, like other industry awards, they charge the submission to cover the costs associated with processing the entries, organizing the adjudication process, maintaining the awards program, and these fees go to administration processing, judging and adjudication, award production and events, community programs, and then also, hang on, bear with me here. It helps minimize submissions from people who aren't that serious. So if you're, heeing and hawing over the price, one, it's early bird right now. So get in there during this early bird submission and become a Chairperson member to get that even reduced. But that is why there is a submission fee. So it shouldn't be as much as like, oh, they're charging, So that should be understood. And
show me a credible awards that don't charge a submission fee. And I'll show you an awards thing that is overwhelmed with crappy submissions. Which doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to ask volunteer judges to review hundreds of crappy submissions. Like, it's a hard enough process to make it work with quality submissions from people that like are investing in themselves to give themselves a shot. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there is a cost. That is a thing.
Let's. I think if there's any last questions, I think in the comments there, and if not, then I feel like we've covered.
Texted me some questions while you were submitting yesterday. Do you want to reiterate those?
I have to go to the text. I think one. I think Arlo mentioned the one already, that there is the crossover period, because one of the albums, an artist and I, we did submit it last year, but it does fall in that crossover a gray area there, so we are resubmitting it this year. It wasn't nominated, so it is still eligible. That was one of them, and then I can't remember what the other question is now, Kyle. I'd have to go to my text.
Okay.
But, as well too, if I could just add to that as well. One of the things that was briefly touched on in your guys' podcast is municipal and regional awards as well too. So one thing that you can do as an artist is look at, are there municipal award shows or award associations within your city? Apply to those, because if you get a nod from that, that's something you could then add to your CV, to your resume, to your bio, right? If there are things like Western Canadian Music Awards or the East Coast Music Awards, like apply for those as well too, because when you have things like that, it shows that there's traction. It shows that there are other award associations that are recognizing the work that you're doing, because you're judged by a jury of your peers. And if your peers are recognizing it, and a juror from the JUNO sees that and just like, okay, cool, they've got an ECMA, they've got a Halifax Music Award or whatever it may be, then now it's like, okay, well, I'm going to pay a little bit more closer attention. And the thing, much like grants, and I know that people can become overwhelmed, but if you are a juror who's really vibing off of someone's stuff, you might go down the rabbit hole and start looking into other stuff that they're doing, and all of a sudden become a super fan and be like, yo, like I really want this person to win because I see they're doing this, I see they're doing that. So everything from your social media to just the accolades that you're building to this point here is something that you should always have on point, because you never know when someone is going to really mess with your stuff and be like, I really want to see this person win. I want to vote for them, but let me see if they're actually doing the work that needs to be done. And as they begin to see that, they're just like, you know what? I want this person to win. They're going to be part of the people who I select to win. Whether that amounts to anything or not, you've now created a fan, and you also have someone who is now rooting and in your corner.
Do the things and trust the process. 100%,
well said. 100%. Well said. Any other questions? Go to the Rap Career Growth Facebook group. We'll respond when we can. There's like 1,000 members of that group, many of whom are from Canada because we are. And Nate and I have largely been the ones pushing that group for the last 3 years, I guess now. And as I said, it's spawned into the Rap Career Growth podcast. There's 4 episodes of that up on Spotify now, or YouTube if you prefer. If you want to look at my big head some more, or you can just listen on Spotify. And do that while you're getting your gym on or whatever it is. Yeah, hit us up in Rap Career Growth Group, and we're happy to keep building and answering questions. You know, there's obviously quite a few threads right now about the Junos and this live and the podcast episodes. We're happy to answer questions in there.
This live should be available afterwards. From me, I just want to wish the best of luck to everyone submitting. We encourage everyone, no matter where you're at in your career, except maybe if you're literally just started yesterday, but we encourage everyone to submit. There are plenty of advantages besides just being nominated or winning. So best of luck to everyone. Get your submissions in. Take advantage of that early bird.
Looking forward to seeing your submissions, guys.
Yes.
Word up.
All right.
It's imperative.
Night, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen to the kid.
Crafty Entertainment.
Arlo
Peace.
Maverick. Peace.